everyone, welcome to our first standalone episode. Hello everyone, welcome to our first standalone episode of Q&Egg. I'm Jennifer and I am here with Paul and Steve. So earlier in the week, I put out a tweet on my Twitter account asking for questions for Q&Egg, but in the future, I would like you guys to direct your questions to qandegg@gmail.com or in the comments section of this video. Now let's proceed with our first question. Guys, you ready? All right, so from...
Unprepared as always.
From Skynay, what unimaginable future tech can you think of? Think along the lines of the Matrix.
Okay, I gotta call shenanigans here because that question is self-defeating. Obviously, if it's an unimaginable thing and we say something here, we've imagined that, and by default we've gotten the question wrong. So very clever. Very clever, trying to entrap us into providing a wrong answer.
See, I took it to mean, what most like imagination-based, like Steve said earlier, or sci-fi tech-based tech can we think of? And I've always been personally fascinated by the idea of nanotechnology, especially nanotechnology that can like move through your body and correct things or cure diseases or, take us over and make us like the Borg.
So microscopic healing robots?
Yeah, right. Or, to give us a collective hive mind.
That can replicate
Where
themselves.
I will be the queen.
Oh, you would be the queen.
Where I can say, I am the one that is many.
Actually, I'm a big fan of the Matrix series. I know that 2 and 3 were kind of like, but I would really like to have a flying ship like the Nebuchadnezzar.
That'd be
I
awesome.
think that'd be sweet.
I think we're getting there.
Yeah,
that would be pretty cool.
Yes. No, I was going to say I don't see us getting there anytime soon, but yeah, I would say it would be fantastic.
Yeah.
So I do have an answer to this question, even though it's wrong, but. So this is a science article. I apologize, I don't remember where I read this. It was a few years back. But if you take the concept of the Matrix, which is like, you have this generated, software-based world where people live and do things in. It was kind of like along those lines, but the software created a world around the Earth, and then it could expand beyond that. But basically, like, as people got old and died, their minds would be like digitized and then put in this software version of the world that's there. So basically people could live on, and then people who were alive could also go in and join and like talk to people who are still there and stuff. It was a very interesting concept, but something like that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think there've been a few movies based on like that kind of a concept. I think Vanilla Sky was one.
Oh yeah.
Bruce Willis did one called Avatars, I think, or something like that. That didn't, get very many views, but ended up on Netflix on my Thursday night. Anyway, okay, so the second question, which I think is the most tech-related, is from Justin D. Weaver. Do you think CPUs are going to get larger since transistor size is almost capped at the minimum?
I'm not sure about transistor size being capped at the minimum. That's like a Moore's Law thing, and from everything I've read, Moore's Law is still in effect. It's still proceeding, although that's another thing you hear is that it's either slowing down or it's going to be slowing down soon. I think this would probably go more towards like the software and programming for CPUs with multiple cores, like multi-threaded applications, because as the software matures and its capabilities to do that gets better, we're seeing more designs that use like many cores, whether you're talking about GPUs or CPUs. So in that way, I could see them getting larger with just like crazy amounts of 12, 24, 48 cores on a CPU, not to mention GPU cores. But then at the same time, you look at stuff like NVIDIA Grid or like cloud-based computing, stuff like that, where you also hear, well, it's not going to matter how fast your processor is in your computer. It's going to matter how fast your internet connection is and how fast your network card is, because really most of the processing is actually going to be done cloud-based, and then it's just going to, your computer's just going to be more like a terminal. So there's lots of possibilities for how that might go, I think, but probably difficult to say at this point.
I think adding on to what you're saying, I think in terms of grid or other cloud-based like CPU computational type things, I think something like that is still kind of going to that same direction, right? You're going to have somewhere else that's going to have to keep growing to do all the computational values or all the computation that's needed for everyone else in the nation or the world, depending on how the service is set up. So I guess it's going to grow in just a different way.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
I think people probably will still be more attached to having their computing happening privately, you know, in something that they can own in their home. Yeah, me too. And, you know, the need to have some kind of connection to that cloud server, plus the security situation involved in that is, you know, but it seems to be the way that our technology has fluctuated, and in that, like, when you think about the early days of the internet, you would buy space on a server, and that's, you know, basically how it worked, and then it, you know, became smaller and smaller and smaller until, you know, you can have it in your home, or
Right.
you know, something like that. So it seems like we go bigger and then we get smaller, and then we go bigger and then so maybe you're right with, like, the CPUs will be getting bigger with more cores and things like that, and then some other development will happen. The third question, and our last one for this episode, is from Lex Topping, and they ask, what would all of your choices for the name of a cryptocurrency be?
I think we need to move away from coin.
I agree.
Maybe something like
Coins,
rupee.
Coins played out.
Coin is way
played out.
played out.
I would call mine the Minerva drachma.
What is that?
Minerva is the Roman goddess of war and wisdom.
Oh, of
Drachma was a unit of measurement in Greek coin.
Oh,
So
Everyone
Nice.
start mining your Minerva drachmas. I've heard that AMD cards are really good at that.
yeah.
I'm gonna go with Paul pennies.
Paul pennies.
Yeah.
That sounds like it could fit into a Christmas carol.
Yeah.
A Paul penny would do.
Well, once they become the accepted currency worldwide, I'm sure it will do for a lot of things.
There'll be lots of songs.
There'll be somebody on the corner asking for Paul pennies.
So what would your
We'll talk about
rupee?
the other future.
What would your rupee be, Steve?
What would my rupee be?
Yeah.
I don't
You
know.
said
I
you-
just
you
thought
think
just
it needs
rupees
to
in general would be
rupee
cool because
based.
I don't know. India's cool and they have cool money.
You wouldn't call it like the kitty rupee?
The kitty rupee? That was your idea. No, kitty rupee's fine. I wouldn't have called it that.
What would you have called it then?
Zelda rupees.
The Zelda rupees. I like that. All right, well, that wraps
Zelda's a
up.
classic.
That wraps up this episode of Q&A, everybody. Again, you can direct your questions for future Q&A episodes, which will happen next week, to the comments section below, or you can email them to me directly at Q, as in question, EGG.
Q and egg.
No, there's an egg and in there, sorry. Q as in question, ANDEGG @gmail.com. So Q and egg. Yeah, sorry, can't spell this morning.
And it's weekly, every Wednesday.
Yeah, every Wednesday.
Very cool.
All right, thanks everybody.
See ya.
Bye.